Welcome to the Trashcats Trashcast. I'm Richard.
I'm Steven.
And today we're going to be talking about volumetric capture, a newer innovation in video recording technology that allows filmmakers to capture an entire area and the subjects within it in 3 dimensions.
Fucking God mode, dude. I'm super psyched on this.
Yeah, it seems really cool. It's definitely a funner thing to be learning about.
Yeah, like when I first had seen it years ago, it felt like it wasn't a real possibility, and then things have just been changing so quick. It is a little intimidating because this gets a little technical and wild, but it's very exciting, and we're gonna get a little abstract with it.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
First though, how was your week?
Oh man, dude, it's been okay. Just working, not enough time for art, but that's all right. I did just get back from Tennessee this weekend. Was up there for Sam and Megan had their bachelor party, getting ready for this. It was a bachelorette co-ed party. It was like 20 wild motherfuckers in a 4-story cabin.
That's pretty dope.
Yeah, it was pretty cool, man. It was fun. Chilling by the lake. So the drive to Tennessee, dude, I swear to God, these trailers you drive past are hilarious, man. The wilderness was reclaiming these fuckers. We had to have drove past 100 meth houses for sure. And there was this one compound right near where we were staying that all the barbed wire was facing inwards.
Ooh.
We're like, what are they up to?
Seriously.
But it was a really cool spot. Had a lot of fun. The drive back, before we even got out of the place, we ran over a squirrel. So that was a good way to start the drive back, of course. But, glad to be home. Glad to have some fun with some friends and get back to the grind.
Damn right.
What about you?
I had a pretty good week, actually. It's been pretty chill. I also traveled this weekend. I went down to Cincinnati, which was funny because then you weren't there. But we did a bunch of work on my aunt's house, so honestly, we really wouldn't have had time to chill anyways. I went down, I was going to say the time, but it doesn't matter. The drive was all good, super chill, no light traffic both ways. It's pretty good.
Did you kill any squirrels?
I did not kill any squirrels. I got away without with no road deaths, but I did pass a lot of roadkill. I got a birthday present from you, which was cool. I got Steven made me a mixtape.
Dude, I had to go to 3 stores to get CDs. Apparently no one sells CDs anymore.
That's solid, because a month ago you could have asked me. I think I know I had a bunch of DVD-Rs. I think I had a couple CDs mixed in there and a bunch of jewel cases.
Right.
And I donated them to a fucking thrift store because I don't fucking need them. It's open containers. I don't know if they were, going to do anything with them. Yeah. But I figured, I don't know, it was worth something to somebody probably. Can make some art with them or something. I don't know.
CDs are the best.
Made me a soundtrack of a bunch of Trash Cat music about a bunch of
Trash
some of the
Jams
features we
Volume
got
1.
here. Hell yeah, man! It got me a decent way through the drive, and it's a good fucking playlist altogether too. That's the crazy part.
We've got some fun stuff so far.
Yeah, man. Got some Approaching Human on there. That's what I'm talking about.
Chaotic Steel.
Yeah, man. I meant to make up an Instagram post about how I was jamming through North 75, bumping Chaotic Steel.
Oh, fuck yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Hell yeah. So what do you think?
Fucking what, honorable mentions and shit this week?
Yeah, you got any?
I do. I have one. I found one. I sent this to you earlier this week because it popped up on my Instagram. It's a Danish artist named Jens Honning. He was commissioned by the Kunstmuseum to recreate one of his works. They paid him 534,000 kroner, which is equivalent to about 63,000 US dollars.
Okay.
They paid him to make these works, and he returned some blank canvases. and kept all the money.
Damn.
He titled the work "Take the Money and Run."
Oh my god.
It's fucking really good.
That's so good.
Fucking shouts out to Jens Honning. So I have a article here from BBC News, which you were nice enough to send me.
Did you check out his work by any chance?
I looked at some of it. Most of what came up was like similar stuff to the banknote kind of stuff. He takes the literal banknotes and like puts them on canvas. So it's like
he's like a modern pop artist kind of.
Yeah, basically.
That's disappointing, but that's cool that, I don't know, he took their money in the way he did.
Yeah, exactly. He was asked to reproduce 2 of his works, representing the annual salary of Denmark and Austria, but the artist pocketed the cash and produced the blank canvases. The museum's reaction has been so far mixed. Lasse Anderson, the director of the museum in the city of Aalborg, told BBC's Newsday program, "He stirred up my curatorial staff and also stirred me up a bit, but I also had a laugh because it was really humoristic." However, Mr. Anderson was clear that the money needed to be paid back when the exhibition ends. He says, "It's the museum's money, and we have a contract saying that the money will be back on the 16th of January. But Mr. Honning has vowed to keep the cash." He said, "This is the work. The work that I have taken. Oh, excuse me. The work is that I have taken their money. That's the art that he's saying." He's saying, "I encourage other people who have had just as miserable working conditions as he has to do the same," adding that recreating this past work would have put him about $3,000 out of pocket to do the same work again. He told BBC that he refuted Mr. Hanning's claim that the museum had not agreed to. Excuse me, Mr. Henderson told the BBC that he refuted Mr. Hanning's claim that the museum had not agreed to pay him fairly. He says, "We just signed an agreement for the Danish Artists Association that raises what artists are paid when they are exhibiting." And he thinks that Jens has kind of broken the bargain. But still, shouts out Jens Honning.
A lot of Mr. Hands going on.
Mr. Hands.
I just saw the Artists Guild for movies and like stage crews. They're on the biggest strike of all times right now.
Yeah, I did see that too. That's pretty cool. I mean,
good for them.
Do what you gotta do. Get your union shit together.
Workers should control the rights of production, means of production.
Right.
Yeah, that's a wild one. Good for him. Since we're doing the volumetric capture, I went with this 3D artist that I've been enjoying a little bit recently. I kind of decided I'm just gonna stop trying to pronounce internet artists' names.
Yeah,
because like
that's fair.
You never know how to fucking say them. They're all like crazy dumb spelling. So this dude,
you're gonna be wrong every time.
Right. It's at Brellius. I don't know. Brellias. And the 2 pieces I pulled up are titled "Nap Time" and "Goodbye." And I love any piece of art titled "Goodbye." That's just so sweet, right? But I really like these pieces. He's got a great palette, very soft renders, just very dreamy.
Yeah, very, very. I really do like the color scheme that he works in. It's that a lot of violet and magenta and like a cyan blue. I really like those colors. I've been fucking with those a lot lately. So these are really. It's that like really hitting the spot.
Yeah, it's that pink blue combo is always so strong.
Yeah.
The amount that his subjects always glow, they just feel so soft and dream state. Some of his other stuff, he uses the same palette a lot. Some of it gets a little too rendery, but these 2 particular pieces I love because they feel. I like when digital art, like 3D art, whatever, I like when it feels not like 3D art, Mm-hmm. Like these just feel like beautiful paintings almost.
Yeah.
Or like figurines almost.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, really, really nice color work. Cool concepts.
Yeah. So we'll share links for this guy. Definitely check him out. Super cool.
He's got one of the Mars rover. That's pretty cool.
So then I had a couple other just like quick stories before we kick it off. I think you told me you had already heard this, but I just got hip to it. I saw that Eminem opened a spaghetti shop in Detroit.
Hell yeah, man. Mom's spaghetti.
God damn it, dude. It's like the ultimate meme of a restaurant.
It's super good. It's really well. It's a smart idea.
I heard it tastes pretty decent too.
That's what matters.
It's a little steep, but
see, the meme is like it'll bring people for a minute, but like to keep people coming back,
that's hard.
It's gotta taste good.
Yeah. There were spaghetti sandwiches that looked pretty dope. It was like
spaghetti sandwiches.
Garlic, the garlic bread with the spaghetti and sauce inside looked pretty fucking good.
It's like what you do with leftovers and shit.
Yeah, exactly. And then here's a story. Found this one on Boing Boing. Dubai hides Michelangelo's penis. So the article reads...
Okay, why not?
Yeah. The leader of the utopia, in sarcastic quotes, known as Dubai, has wisely chosen to hide the penis of a 17-foot tall 3D printed replica of Michelangelo's David statue from 1504, saving the thousands of innocent viewers from the traumatic experience. So I guess they have an exhibit where they 3D printed a gigantic David statue, and because they didn't want the nudity for their people to see, they found a way to creatively place columns at certain angles so you could never like actually see the penis on the statue. And then
that's kind of wild.
It's ridiculous. And then the photo of the article has like Dubai's like different symbols from their country over the crotch.
Yeah, I fucking guess so.
So stupid. Imagine like going to all the effort to like, we want to display the statue of David for our country's people, but we can't let them see the penis. Like, so fucking stupid.
Isn't Dubai, I forget, was Dubai one of the places we said they, where they ban tattoos as well?
I don't specifically remember that from our tattoo one. I know like because of the religious makeup of the area, it's, tattoos aren't going to be looked on too fondly, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that wraps it up. I was going to mention the Facebook thing going down, but I don't know. There's not enough information out yet. I do think there's a lot of... They're having the questionings right now to see if... Did you see the whole thing with the whistleblower came out and then Facebook went down?
No.
They had their biggest whistleblower. I don't know. This woman came out and she's gonna get sued so fucking hard because the government never protects whistleblowers, of course. But she came out with thousands of pages of internal documents that showed how Facebook, Instagram, whatever, like knows how much they promote extremism on purpose. And there was that angle, and then there was an angle about teenagers, specifically kids and girls, like increasing suicidal thoughts and stuff by being on the app, and how all their internal research has shown this, and they've specifically hid it from the public and the stockbrokers, whatever, and continue to do those practices because it makes them money. So she came out publicly, and within like an hour or whatever, they had their big crash, and it was like, is this tied to things being hidden? There's a bunch of conspiracy shit going on, but they're in governmental hearings, so it's likely going to come out at some point. It's their biggest shutdown ever,
Yeah, it was weird because I was actually on Instagram at the time when it happened, and I just all of a sudden it wouldn't load, and I thought, well, that's weird. And so my internet, I checked my internet and everything, and it was fine. I was like, all right, well, fucking whatever. It's just not working. And then I heard later on that like, oh no, it's like it's down across the board. It was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Didn't even consider that.
I hadn't used anything in like a week, maybe even longer, and I was like, oh fuck, I have to post the new episode stuff. And then it was down. And what I found interesting is like there's all these people, on the internet debating about Facebook, right? Or like, trashing them constantly. Like, of course they're a garbage company, but you have like people on one side who fucking use it to spread extremist shit, and you have people on the other who are like, it's great it went down, fuck this company. And it's like, yeah, fuck Facebook, of course, but like, if you want to share your opinion or create stuff, like what other fucking option do you have?
Right.
Like, of course we want better companies, but you don't want the only options gone either,
How else are we going to promote our podcast?
100%.
That's we need to get involved with the court proceedings and say, like, well,
we're due money for damages. That's for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh fuck.
What would Instagram do without us?
I don't know. We've been keeping them together for so fucking long.
Yeah.
So, should we kick it off?
Yeah, man, let's get on into it.
Enough dilly-dallying.
Yeah, so tell me, what is volumetric video? What does it mean?
So, volumetric video capture technology is a technique that digitalizes a three-dimensional space, object, or environment in real time using an array of hundreds or even thousands of cameras set around a target. The captured object can be digitalized and transferred to the web, mobile, or virtual worlds, and then viewed in 3D. What makes volumetric video interesting is the final product does not have a set viewpoint, so the end user can watch and interact with it from all angles, enhancing their experience and heightening their sense of immersion and engagement. Dude, this shit's so fucking cool. So we're gonna look at this mainly from the perspective of film, but there's so many other ways. But it's three-dimensional film.
Yeah, it's in a way that that's really never been done before, and not in this particular manner.
God, there's so many directors, creators, artists that I just wish could have had this ability earlier. Like, I know it's still got a long way to go, but there are so many possibilities.
Oh, imagine all the reboots that are going to come back for this.
They could redo movies from any angle. We're going to explore that in a bit. So more or less, volumetric video records video in 3D and adds the wild ability to see the video from any point inside the scene, like a floating free cam. After processing, you could even lock your perspective to that of a particular subject or object within the scene, then replay the scene from different perspectives. You're a ghost in a fucking movie. Just
right. It sounds it's like the perfect project for like a mystery movie, like a whodunit murder mystery, like where the viewer can review the different characters' point of view to solve the case, kind of thing. Like
some
you
LA noir.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You can do so many cool things out of that. And you're talking like with that technology, you really can have real view or like live action like video games and stuff. There's like so many potential things that you can do.
Did you see Hardcore Henry or whatever the fuck it was called? Henry Hardcore.
No. It was Max Hardcore.
Was that what it was? The movie
I think that's a porn thing.
There's we almost talked about that dude on the Two Girls One Cup. There's a movie I think it's Henry Hardcore, and it's an action movie. The whole thing's first person, like seamless fighting movie, and it's like
no, I've never seen that.
It's like ultra violence. A lot of people like felt it was too like quick paced and made them feel like queasy to watch a movie in first person like that. But I thought it was just such a cool experience.
Oh, fuck, I might be interested in that.
You'd like it a lot.
And also to be clear, so while this is similar to like the strategy done back in the day for like the iconic shots in the Matrix where like it swings around the person and you can see like it's the difference is those cameras only captured flat images that were spliced together to look like a 3-dimensional image. What we're talking about here is capturing the third dimension as a whole and being able to manipulate that space and the subjects inside it as 3D objects instead of just flat images. Like they actually take all the footage and they turn it into like each pixel turns into a block, a form, and they create forms
right
out of it. It's really wild shit.
Yeah, we're going to look at some examples, but the easiest example I could think of is because I feel like a lot of people watched it, the intro to Deadpool.
Yeah.
Which I'm not a fan of those movies, but that one was kind of fun. Whatever.
It was fun. It was funny.
Yeah. But the intro of that movie was by far the best fucking part of the whole thing. Like, if they would have just cut it there, I would have been happier, right? Yeah. But that scene where he's sitting on the bridge listening to the music and then falls into the Jeep or SUV or whatever, and everything goes slow-mo, and you see like the car lighter in 3D, like slow-mo through the objects weaving in and out. If you shot that scene using volumetric capture, right? They do the take, and afterwards you can control everything's captured from every angle because there's cameras all around the subjects. Yeah. So after they shoot the scene, and it's harder in a way because you have to give a seamless performance, right, from every angle.
Right.
But afterwards they can, on the computer, free cam float through a shot from any angle they want. And it's just so many possibilities. So instead of having to use a bunch of digital artists rendering this perfect car scene in Deadpool, the intro, you could shoot that in theory and then edit the camera however you want through the scene.
Yeah. And you need like cameras up inside the car and all kinds of shit. But man, the possibilities of that would be fucking wild.
I do think that particular scene would probably be unlikely currently because with the the stunt,
eventually,
right?
Yeah,
like I think it was Intel. I know Sony was building one. Like a lot of these sets that are using the volumetric capture, they're using like basically what is a green screen room, or sometimes even a smaller like body cage to put around someone. So the cage or the room, right, is just covered in cameras, like spaced every foot or so, all directed towards the center of the cage or the area of the room. So if you have your actor walking through, all the cameras together are capturing enough information that they can generate every angle of that performance.
Yeah.
So I think it was the Sony studio. They built this gigantic dome. And I remember reading this article like 6 years ago, and it like stuck with me. And that's part of the reason we got into this. But they have a studio that's this gigantic dome. It's painted like a green screen, and the whole dome has what do you call it? The stuff at the top of a studio.
Rafters, like scaffolding?
Yeah, like kind of like a scaffolding system where cameras are placed every foot or so. So this dome is literally like thousands of cameras. It's almost like the movie that you got the Truman Show.
Oh, yeah.
But every camera is focused towards the center, and the whole dome's a green screen. So you could have that location could be literally anywhere. But they were doing an example shot, and they have it, the ground of the dome set up as a Western studio. And they're doing like a cowboy scene with a horse and everything. And they shoot it, they get a great performance, and afterwards, because there's so much information from all the angles, you could watch the scene from the perspective of the horse. You could watch it from each character in the scene. You could edit the 3D footage so you're floating through it, all the crazy angles like the Deadpool thing. There's just so many possibilities.
fucking super cool.
Yeah, you don't. It's more, in a way, you'd be able to concentrate on a perfect performance rather than the perfect camera angles.
Yeah.
You know, like if your set was just right, set up for the volumetric capture, it would be less about having lighting correctly, or, you know, like you could change how you perceive these things at any time.
Yeah. It changes. It can change the narrative of a story
so much. Like,
yeah.
How cool would it be to go back and watch like your favorite movie from the secondary character's perspective, or the horse in a Western movie? Like, that's so fucking cool.
I'm thinking of like all the fucking Bond movies in the last, series of them, just
from Q's perspective.
Yeah, exactly.
She's like, this fucking idiot. So I highly recommend checking out. There's a video about the particular studio that has the Western scene, and it was in a really cool TED Talk that covered it. It was titled "How Volumetric Video Brings a New Dimension to Filmmaking," and it featured Diego Prilusky, Prilusky, and he's the founder and head of Intel Studios, and he does a really good job breaking it down, and they show what the footage captured in this studio in volumetric capture looks like and some of the possibilities.
Yeah, they did a lot of like, breaking down like the process of how it comes to be, and like even it wasn't until he gave the analogy of like, so you have a picture and you blow it up real big and you can see all the pixels, and like you take the pixels and turn that into 3D spaces, and like, okay, like now I get it, now I understand. It's really wild.
Yeah, and that particular TED Talk and the video they put out, like, I wish there were better, more modern examples, but it seems like a lot of this is really like not so much private, but like
it's what's the word? Experimental still.
Or proprietary. What is that fucking word?
Proprietary.
Like, they haven't implemented these techniques in many films yet. There's one we're going to talk about later. So there's only like some short clips available. There's not a ton of great examples, but the one that they show in the TED Talk was from 6 years ago, and it alone has so much potential, and we know things have sped up drastically since. Like, we know we're going to start seeing these. I think we're going to see it first in the Marvel movies in their universe.
Yeah, probably. They'll probably be able to do something like that with their budget.
And it'll be fucking dope too. Like, we're going to see it first in some of those types of movies, and it'll work great for their purposes too.
Right.
You want to tell us a little bit about, we're going to get into the specs a little bit, tech involved?
Yeah, so in order to capture the volumetric video, like we said, multiple cameras are focused on an object or environment to be recorded. After the initial video capture, the scene's processed to produce a set of 3D models arranged in a sequence, like how you have, each individual moment in a video or an animated thing. They arrange it in a sequence and process it that way. Lastly, they unwrap all the meshing on it, and they generate textures, and the whole thing's compressed to a data file that's ready for viewing.
So it's almost, the finished product looks like a seamless digital recording, but it involves using, like, the artist we looked at in the honorable mentions, that artist renders in a digital program these characters, right? And it looks very real. So the finished product, like, is a mix between like an artificial rendering and actual film, which is so fucking cool. Like, there's enough data that the render can look identical with the film.
And that's so much of that's also like how they make the textures in video games and stuff. Like, that's how they do that, is they take 3D models and do the mesh on it and just slap the texture on it, and it's the texture that looks good. You just have to wrap it around certain polygons, and depending on how many, polygons you have on a form, on an object, it changes the realism of it. And that's gotten to the point now where it's so realistic at this point, maybe not like all the in-game stuff, but like the 3D rendered videos, like cutscenes and stuff are outlandishly realistic nowadays.
Yeah, it's so impressive, especially with video games. I mean, some of it. Did you watch, I think, what is it? The Netflix one, not the ABCs of Murder, the sci-fi short little...
Bandersnatch?
No, that was really cool too.
That was cool.
But the one where it's like, there was one of them titled like The Color Blue. They're like 5-minute scenes of art. Oh my God. Fuck. I'll remember it in a minute. I think you watched it though. Love, Death, Robots. That's
what it was.
Dude, that shit was fucking awesome. Like some of the rendering they did for some of those shorts, like those little art house studios did such fucking good work. Oh man. There's moments that are like indistinguishable from film almost.
Yeah.
But if you were to use or to experience volumetric capture in like VR with the VR headset or through augmented reality glasses, it's like the 3D capture would be recreated as a digital object. Yeah. And you could walk around or look and experience whatever was volumetrically captured, such as a movie. You could walk through it from every angle and even step in the shoes of the person recorded. Like that to me is so inspiring. The idea of like at some point we could not only view a movie but experience it, to be in. You could watch like the fucking Sopranos from, whoever's point of view. Like that'd be so cool.
Yeah. Like
you could go to the theater and everyone could watch the movie from a different perspective.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. Like you could, I guess you could make it so it was, like you're sitting down in a thing, but if, you want to play into the whole like augmented reality thing, you could have, it could actually change the way theaters are done anyways. Like you would have,
definitely,
the space to stand and kind of move around.
You wouldn't even have to
go
that
to space.
You
wouldn't have to go to a theater. Yeah, exactly.
Right. But God, there's so many cool. Like, how cool would it be, like, to meet your friend in the movie? Not like, hey, I'll meet you at the theater. It'd be like, hey, I'm gonna meet you in the movie.
Yeah.
Like the bar in scene 2, whatever. Like, we're gonna meet there and we're gonna watch this shit go down. Like. And you could like Bandersnatch, where like there's choice elements. You could film a whole lifetime of possibilities. Like a movie wouldn't have to be a linear experience.
I'm picturing now in the future where you're able to make like
decision
3D printed, or not 3D printed, but like 3D avatars of yourself, like where eventually this technology becomes like just normal shit that you can get, and you can like have your own, like, I think like if you and a friend are both watching the same, or you have the same file open, you can like look over and like just your friend standing there in the scene too.
Actually, I was gonna
that might ruin the film thing of it, but I think it would be a fun idea to like, it's you and Leonardo DiCaprio and Samuel L. Jackson, and you're all just kind of sitting around, and you look over and there's your boy. And like
I was actually gonna talk it a little bit later, but so there is kind of a lot of the technical things we're talking about are a little confusing for me. So the volumetric capture and AR are still totally separate things, right? Mm-hmm. Like, just because you have something recorded in a 3-dimensional set of angles, right, and it's volumetrically captured, doesn't mean it's the augmented reality. But there's like companies, and some of them, have you seen like people, like they do it with debates a lot, like some crazy shit debates, but people are in their character, talking as a character. What the fuck is that called?
Are you talking about VTubers?
Yeah, like that kind of shit.
Yeah.
But there's like professional companies that are working on things like you were saying, where you could use your AR goggles to go to work. Like if you had a meeting, you would have your character in the office and you could see your coworker's character.
Oh yeah, like in you see that in some like even like the Jedi shit where like they like hologram into the council.
Like I forget what company it was. They were literally letting I think their employees had a choice, but you could scan like yourself, like real scans of yourself to have a character to go to work as.
It's cool in a way. I think that the fun idea is like, it is terrible. I think it's cool.
Use.
Yeah. Because unless you have like idle animations of like, I put your elbow on the shoulder and like kind of scratch your chin or something, like little stuff like that. It would just be a static person just sitting there.
Yeah. But
that would be weird.
That's like the like this whole pandemic thing, like no one needs to go to work if they can work from home. Like the idea of then forcing you to augment reality into work as a character of yourself is like some diabolical shit. Like just let us work on a video, like a call with no camera, right?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. It takes up your space. I think the idea of it's more fun. I think doing that would be fun with like friends and stuff.
Definitely. Or like loading screens for a game. Like if you're playing, there's so many cool possibilities. But in a nutshell, volumetric capture is it's created by uniformly rigging cameras around the subject and recording the target from all the angles. The camera's output is then synced and processed to produce a 3D mesh. The 3D mesh can be added to different environments, game engines, and virtual worlds.
Yeah, so like what that means is like in the TED Talk we mentioned earlier, they had a recording of some actors performing a scene with a blank background, and he was able to use that recording in the camera on his tablet. So he ran like the thing on his tablet, like the file, and used the camera to place the actors like in the room, which was really cool. Like through the viewing screen of the tablet. He was playing it and he was able to walk around within that space, showing on the camera so he could mimic the effect of like what a VR view would kind of be. He weaved in and out of the scene, like walking behind people and in front of people, to show it from all angles. I thought it was really dope. So there's like obviously a lot of potential for growth with that, but,
that just kind of I bet we see a lot of the volumetric as like a hybrid form, because you could do like a volumetric capture, like let's say of like my vape, right? Or like a Coke bottle, whatever. And you could capture it from every angle doing a certain action. And then you could take like a regular movie or whatever, like something recorded as normal digital film, and you could put that object into something else and still be able to look at it from every angle to fit the scene as it's supposed to.
And they kind of already have that with some stuff. I know in like certain shopping websites, they have the thing like see how it looks in your room kind of thing. I think IKEA does that. That's so like Amazon has that with a couple things.
But that's more augmented because it doesn't give the true 3D. But we do see
it's a cool concept that you can like look, place an image on a in a space.
Yeah, and we do
Pokemon Go.
It's the same technology though that is used in Pokemon Go. They talked about that in one of the interviews, and Google Maps. That's all photogrammetry or whatever. But we do see a little bit of volumetric capture in modern sports. Like I don't fucking like sports, whatever. But like in football and baseball, we see like. In baseball, we get the strike box square kind of thing. Yeah. And they'll adjust it. But in football, they'll do like circles around players, and they'll do like camera switches that they didn't actually record to all the way.
Yeah.
It's like they're augmenting certain things on the screen, but they're also like rendering angles they didn't capture. It's pretty wild. I remember the first time seeing that, be like, whoa, that's kind of trippy to see on a live game like that.
Yeah. It's some quick work.
Yeah.
And it's like I said, there's so much that's, for the fact that they're already using it like that. And I think they said they're using it in like music videos and like small production kind of things like that. But there is just so much potential as more people are, with the rate of technology increasing and stuff like that. I think we're on the horizon of it being something that you see a lot more of.
Definitely. And we're going to talk about it here in a sec, but there's a feature length movie that just came out that used it, and it's definitely going to be rolling out more and more. So because it's a new method of recording, there comes with it new rules to get the best qualities from your project. And there's 5 main areas that they consider when they're capturing these subjects.
So the first one is your camera specs. Obviously, like the higher quality of your camera, the better results you're going to have. Like no fucking shit, duh. And so it's required that you capture with a depth sensing camera. A DSLR or point and shoot camera is fine, but you just can't use fisheye lenses. Yeah,
because it would distort all your angles. But I bet even like if you were doing like a real movie, I still can't imagine DSLR. Like a typical camera would give you enough data. Like I'd imagine each like extra megapixel even of data helps you create that 3D illusion when they're all combined. Oh God, that sounds like such a pain in the fucking ass.
Yeah, I was thinking, that's so much of what like a lot of the, like I said, some of the video game shit goes through. Kind of already is, like just the taking each thing like and having to map it.
Yeah.
That's already it sounds like such a pain in the ass.
But at least I would think you could probably capture the motion capture for games a little easier in the set.
Oh, yeah. Especially because when it's so much of it's like done in programs that's like animated already. Like once you create the form, you can move the form how you want it to go. Like,
yeah,
whereas this, like you're working on something that's already done and you have to match it.
And match it and then create it into something that doesn't exist too.
Yeah.
So camera settings ensure that the camera in your rig has the same focal length and that autofocus is turned off. It's also crucial that each camera has the same file start and times synced throughout the sequence. And you can imagine with that many cameras, syncing all of that equipment is so fucking difficult.
Oh my God, yeah. Can you imagine if one of them was like just off by a couple seconds, or if a bunch of them were just off by like a little bit?
Milliseconds even.
Yeah, it would just fuck you up.
So if you're like a real studio, you'd have to have your grid, like everything would have to be built in. It's not like you could have like literally 1,000 cameras all functioning independently. Like
they're all, based on they're all by the same control panel or something.
I would imagine maybe they can all be their own camera but connected, but you almost have to build like a whole network to function seamlessly.
No delay, fucking perfect every time.
Right.
Fucking, yeah. I smell, oh, that's right, I have one of my other windows open. I smell my neighbor's campfire. It's really nice.
I just smell my neighbors. They're really stinky. I can smell them from here.
The third thing is your lighting. So the goal is to have diffused, flat, even lighting throughout. To avoid hot spots and spotlights and like nothing glaring off of anything that could fuck up the light of one of the cameras or anything. That was one I didn't think of until looking into that more, but that could fuck up a lot of shit. Because
once it's recorded in 3D, the lighting almost doesn't matter because you can virtually create all your light sources. So if you do have like a spotlight on something, if anything, it's just going to fuck everything up.
Yeah.
And then the bigger or more complicated your scene, it could be very difficult diffuse light an entire studio, like to get the perfect bask of light so your shadows and highlights aren't fucking shit up, but everything's like evenly coated. Like that sounds like a fucking nightmare.
Yeah, to do that and still have it somewhat be, green screenable.
Right.
You have to have, it's almost like you really do want to just do the one light source, especially for an outside scene. You want to have one light source that acts like a sun, but you need more lights to get all of the action and all the details from all the different angles.
Or even if, I would imagine even one, like a sun in a scene would be a problem.
Yeah.
Because then if in the edit, you're navigating through I don't know if it's better that you light like dial in all your light sources digitally, or if they're perfect when you shoot them. I don't know.
Yeah, you would need lighting underneath, so that there wasn't too much shadow like underneath people's legs or like under their face or anything like that. I imagine it would be easier to.
Do you remember
capture
the scene in It's Always Sunny where Charlie has to beat the health department to clean up? I feel like that. Oh, it's the best episode. But I feel like certain shoots could really be that way, in the sense like if you had planned your shots ahead of time, like the whole advantage to volumetric capture would be that you could navigate however you want through a scene, right? Mm-hmm. But imagine if you knew the path your camera was going to take ahead of time, right? And you let things get in the shot. Imagine if lights, you're shooting one aspect of your scene and you had a light fall from the ceiling and that light did an effect, right? Like it lit a subject across them real quick, and then the light moved up, and because of how your camera path will look, that now that's not going to be in the shot. I guess what I'm trying to say is, imagine if you not only use the volumetric capture for every angle, but you use the advantage of having that space to work around angles that were planned.
Oh yeah.
That could get it. So when you're shooting it, it really would be like Charlie going through the bar, this happens here, and then part of the scene changes here, which allows that character to go here. So when your camera floats this way, you see it a different,
Yeah.
That could get so crazy. You could have so many logistic, like
the difference of someone stepping outside of a building into out into the sun or something, it changing, being able to change that scene so dramatically and drastically.
Yeah, so many possibilities.
Yeah.
The fourth thing to pay attention to is backgrounds. So interesting and varied backgrounds are optimal. Stay away from the solid blues and greens. I'm not quite sure what they mean by that, because
I think what they mean is so you're not conflicting with when they say backgrounds, they mean just any kind of set kind of stuff. So you're not fucking with the green screen.
Well,
they had a couple little buildings or set pieces in the Western thing.
Oh, I get what you mean. So the set in the scene doesn't become a problem when you're editing.
Right.
But it seemed like the Dome studio, the whole sky was green screen, which was really cool, because then you're able, as long as the shots are volumetrically captured, you could place that shot in any environment. Which is so cool. You could be watching that same scene in outer space, in a normal sky.
Have a dystopian future kind of thing going on, and then also there's just a weird Western thing happening here.
Yeah, you could do some Men in Black shit where you're watching the Western shootout, and then the sky is a skin tone, and you realize this scene is happening in an alien's hand in outer space. You know, like you could place
Yeah,
that
yeah.
scene seamlessly in any other location. It's so cool.
Fuck yeah. The fifth thing is the subject. So you have to ensure that you capture the top and the back of the head, behind the ears, the feet, the torso, and the back area. Those areas are often neglected when capturing. You also want to limit anything shiny or flowy, like jewelry, glasses, some clothing, and hair just don't capture well. So, like, you have to, at least for now, with the technology, you have to consider that when you're capturing. You know, if you have someone with a big, long, flowing dress, you know, doing, you know, kung fu shit, you have to limit that because of how much it's going to be able to capture it.
That's really interesting. Think of how many movies like a Muppet movie, or like with all the things you hide with movie magic, or like
Yeah.
the original Jurassic Parks. Like a lot of those shots are animatronics. Some of it's 3D rendered, but it only worked because you could hide things.
Yeah.
But if you had to shoot that in volumetric cap, like if they had the technology for volumetric capture back then, and you were trying to shoot some of these scenes with animatronic T-Rex, like it might look good from one angle, but all the other angles it's going to look like shit. So you'd have to plan your shots in the edit to never go behind the subject, or almost that, like, this technique could be perfect for a lot of things, but like for a lot of things it wouldn't be right either.
Yeah.
Like,
Man, imagine I'm trying to picture the logistics of making a volumetric capture Muppet movie. It's like, it's not, you know, it would have to be like full body puppets. It couldn't do the
marionette,
you know,
stuff.
yeah,
Or
exactly.
I mean, they already do, you know, it would just be a ton of editing, because you could just edit all your strings out, right?
Yeah.
They already do that.
And any
be-
you know, you'd have to, everyone working, you know, the puppets would have to have, you know, green screen suits on, kind of shit, green man suits.
Or they would just have to be wearing their character suit, right?
Oh yeah, or actually in a suit, like a.
That's what I thought you meant.
No, I mean, because you also have, like, Kermit's gonna be a super different size than like Fozzie or something.
That's true. They'd have to do
It would look weird. With a person inside of a Kermit suit would look fucking obnoxious.
Have you watched like any of the behind the scenes on like shooting Lord of the Rings or whatever? Like the guy who played Gollum.
Yeah.
Yeah, that shit's so wild.
Fuck. What is that guy's name? He's a damn good actor. He was in Black Panther.
Really?
Yeah, he does most of the mocap shit. He does a lot of those.
And then I know I've talked about him before, but my dude Mike Patton from Mr. Bungle and Faith No More, he does a ton of the voices for movies. He did all the zombies for what the fuck, whatever, some zombie movie. The one with Will Smith in New York.
Oh yeah,
I Am Legend.
Yeah. Jason Yim, the CEO and creative director of Trigger, said this: Volcap Video solves a significant content challenge for our clients, especially in sports and entertainment, who want to feature their athletes and actors in augmented reality. In the past, we were limited to integrating 2D video or 2D green screen footage to the AR experience. Or we could 3D model the talent from scratch, which was prohibitive from a time, budget, and likeliness approval standpoint. But now with volumetric video, fans can place the talent in their own environment in a three-dimensionally accurate and, more importantly, magical way.
It's that example is like the Tupac thing, like the digital Tupac concerts. Like they created these 3D renders of Tupac from every angle, right? And then they do concerts. I can't believe they do that to begin. It's so fucking stupid and crazy, in my opinion.
It's stupid and crazy, but I do think the technology's cool.
Yes, and imagine if the artist was alive and you have them perform an entire concert with all the cameras volumetrically captured, you would have a 3D version of that performance that could be viewed from any angle for all of time. Like, you could watch the Beatles play or whatever from any angle. You could hologram that on stage, and it wouldn't be an artist recreating it digitally. It would be the real person in a way.
Yeah.
Like, that's so cool. You could put that capture in a video game.
All they have to do is record it once, and then they go on tour with that hologram or with that,
forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be like the future of archiving things. Like, if you want to capture something exactly how it is, or something doing something exactly how they are at any point in time, you'd have this interactive 3-dimensional capture of them forever. Like, that's
some pretty fucking cool shit.
That's really cool. Like, what if you could see yourself volumetrically captured, like, from every year in your life? You know what I mean? Like,
like one of those things where people like, oh, I took a picture every day.
Yeah,
and then you play that back.
But you could see yourself from every angle. Like, you could see exactly how you changed. It'd be like a digital...
Just watch me get fatter.
like, preservation of yourself in amber. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
Really cool shit.
There's so many weird things, because you could, like, collect other people, like, tradables. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Be like, I own your 3-dimensional body view from you in 72, you know? Like,
yeah, and he pointed out, like, there's in a lot of the video games and stuff, they have to get approval to use, a character's or a person's likeness or likeness. Yeah. Likeness, it's not the same thing at all. To use their likeness in media and stuff. So
there's been... Yeah.
Do you imagine the money you could make just selling your likeness to a thing?
I forget what fucking game it was, but there was a big scandal because they did like motion capture for a female character, and it was played by an actress that at least was somewhat known, right? She had some pull, and I don't know if that... I didn't want that to sound the way it did, but it is relevant because they captured her breasts moving in motion capture, and like in her contract, things had to be like clothing had to be a certain way. And after the game came out, they put out some extra that allowed players to like see her breasts without clothing on it, right?
Oh, wow.
And she was able to like press a lawsuit because they had used her likeness in a way she hadn't agreed to. But the ethical problems, it's just very interesting. It's whole new problems, right? Because it's technology that can be used and exploited in ways that you can't imagine fully before. It's so different when everybody has their hands on the technology, what it can be used for.
Right. Yeah, if those files like leaked to, people that had software that could use it to do whatever they want to, like they could, if someone had a full volumetric capture of yourself doing something, they could place that anywhere. They could do anything with it.
And we see that, in the same way with the deep fakes, right? But
exactly.
Imagine if, did you watch the Trump P-tape?
The P-tape?
Yeah.
No. It's him peeing?
It's him peeing on prostitutes in Russia?
No. So
that was, like, part of the original whole Russia scandal. It was, like, the P dossier, the dirty dossier, whatever. And there's this video, and it supposedly was recorded by Russian intelligence in a hotel, right? And it's like a pinhole camera in a wall, right? And the thing was, I think it was supposed to be the room Obama would stay in with Michelle when he was in Russia. So Trump got the room with some prostitutes, and they're like peeing during sex to like disgrace the bed Obama stayed on, right?
Oh, cool.
Like, it sounds too unimaginable to be true. And there's all this controversy because there is video, but it looks like it could have, like it's supposedly from a pinhole camera, and it looks like it was a professionally done thing that was like put out at, you know, like they I think
it's too realistic to be.
It's too realistic, but in low quality, if that makes sense. Like it looks like it could have been shot by professional actors in a studio and then dumbed down to this super low quality. And I think the FBI like said the version that was out on the internet for sure was a fake, and that the ones that were in this dossier were very likely fake, but there's, you know, where there's smoke, there's fire type of thing. There may have been some truth to aspects of it, but it was all kind of debunked. But imagine if you had like actors perfectly capture it volumetrically. Like you could make like the ultimate fake tapes of people.
Yeah.
Like blackmail will change. Everything could, you know, like there's so many downstream effects of,
because even if it's things that they weren't doing, you know, that they didn't do on a capture, they could be augmented. They could be, you know, formed to do other things. You have the mesh, basically. You have their body.
Right.
So you can turn that into whatever video you want to. And then it doesn't have to even be released as a augmented reality kind of thing where you can put on a VR headset. You can just release it as a video.
Yeah, and that's how
I love that. Yeah,
most things I think are going to be coming out. But if you could potentially do it so much more convincingly. Although most blackmail stuff is from a fixed camera position. Interesting though. So capturing a person once, and that video can be used in so many different ways. The person can be scaled, duplicated, or even transformed, since they are a digital capture of their real selves. There are so many ways that the volumetric video can be used in this enterprise.
It's really wild that, you know, the many different possibilities. Like this guy's talking about using it for, you know, business stuff or like sports stuff, or, you know, like, of course, you and I saw it and like immediately we're thinking like, oh yeah, movies.
Yes.
But like so much could be changed. I keep thinking about the potential of like what this technology could mean when it's accessible to everyone.
That's what I was, you read my mind. Cause all right. So like tech stuff, like when I was talking about the documentary about gene editing, DIY, in their, like, dudes editing their genes in their kitchen, right? Like, the technology existing, like Sony or Intel having this technology is one thing, but when it is in the hands of the masses is a whole different thing, right? Like, who controls what makes a big difference? And imagine it being used, the perfect, like, sport for it would be UFC or just cage fighting, right?
Yeah.
Like, imagine if you had, like, a version, like a high def, super high def version of a GoPro all over that linked fence, right? Right. And you could watch the fight from the perspective of the referee or from the fighter's perspective.
Oh my God, yeah.
Holy shit, that'd be so cool. Be like, I got the UFC whatever, and you put on your goggles and you watch it from who the fuck's, you know, point
watch
of view.
Watch it from one of the fighters' point of view, just getting punched in the fucking face.
God. Oh no.
Ugh, fucking hate.
That is so cool.
And that could actually be fun because you could be like, oh, it's, you know, you place your bets beforehand, and that's, or you pick the person you get to be.
Yeah.
And you're going to be in their, you know, perspective basically the whole time.
Dude.
And then you know, you get to, like, you know, live out like if you're going to win or you're going to lose.
Dude, it's some like Gordon Ramsay simulator shit. Like,
oh man, imagine the cooking demos,
dude. And then think about it like in the Matrix. Like you plug in, like, I want to do kung fu number whatever, and you could actually do real training in the perspective of someone else.
Yeah,
like you actually could learn shit that way in a really unique way.
That's pretty fucking cool. the CEO that we were talking about earlier from Trigger said, we're excited to exploit the capabilities of learning in 3D with volumetric video. Not only can you bring living experts directly into every classroom, living room, or sports field, but on the corporate side, staff can now have a one-on-one experience with their CEOs, boo, and their leadership, regardless of the company's size. And I can see that being useful for that. It's really has endless opportunities. Like employee training, education, customer service, customer service. Wow. And corporate communications, the product inspection, marketing, advertising, brand recognition, beyond it's endless on what you can do, what it could potentially change.
There's going to be a hologram of Jeff Bezos on every line in his factories.
Yeah, he's gonna be edited into the next Marvel movie. In terms of even just training alone, volumetric video gives companies the ability to use real life examples of procedures gone right or wrong, or what teams look like when they're working on a project. I do think that's pretty cool. Like, even for like restaurant point of view, like you can see like, this is an example of why you don't do this thing this way. And to explain it to someone, it does usually get the point across, but like to show them is different. And to show them like, we don't do this way because this happens. There are some people that are still like, when you say like, oh, I went in there and I looked for this thing and it's not in there. And then you say, well, maybe it's actually not in there, but I'm going to go look anyways. Like when you tell someone not to do something, sometimes they think, well, maybe they fucked it up, but I wouldn't fuck it up. And then they do it anyways. To show someone like, this is how this works. This is why.
And like, you could show like, when I was doing this and you could watch from that perspective and I fucked this up, you could see how it affects the other person's perspective. Like
exactly.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
Fucking body swap shit.
Yeah, exactly. Tim Zank of Avatar Dimension, which is Microsoft's newly licensed volumetric studio, said, "We've learned how brain engaged employees are. When trained by content captured volumetrically, it results in more knowledgeable employees because they learn from every angle. Enterprises have reported that using this technology sees enormous efficiency gains while also increasing the quality of training skills learned." And like you said, when you're training from within the body of someone that's doing it, you're watching from the point of view of someone doing a task. I mean, I definitely learned that way. I want to see somebody do it first, and then I have to do it. So like first I want to see someone else, do a thing, and then I can do it. Like I do also have to like feel myself doing it, but I want to watch someone else do it first. Yeah.
Like you could, like once, everyone has access to shit. Like everyone has a 3D printer in their office. Everyone has a volumetric capture cage. If you wanted to record yourself cooking, I'm like, Ricky, I need a recipe for teriyaki salmon. And you walk over, you put on your little volumetric capture cage.
Yep.
And you shoot yourself cooking. And then you send it to me. I plug my Oculus Rift on. And then I'm watching you cook. And it could be in any kitchen we want. Because it could be placed wherever.
My green screen kitchen,
yes.
Everything's green screen except for my pans and my burners and my cutting board.
So then I decide, I'm going to watch this one, but I'm going to put Ricky in outer space and I'm going to watch him cook this teriyaki salmon. And
Those would be so fucking good. Can you imagine fucking getting blazed out of your mind and watching shit like that? That'd be great.
And I'm going to watch it from the perspective of my couch. But when he does this, I'm going to stand up and see how it looks from both sides of the fish. Like, so fucking dope.
Yeah, see it from the fish's perspective and like scale it.
Oh, this sucks.
Oh, fucking A. There's so many cool things that you could do. That I just made me think of, did you ever watch, I think I've asked you this before, Action Bronson watching Ancient Aliens?
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
I think it's funny. I think what they did with it, they took something that, like, if they had just like left the camera on and even edited it without all the green screen and shit, it wouldn't have been half the show that it is. All the goofy green screen shit they did it turned out really well.
Definitely. So part of the reason what sparked this is I had came across a recent interview from the creator of District 9. Have you seen that one?
I've seen parts of it.
It's a really fun one. I'm not big on like a lot of sci-fi stuff.
Oh, you know what? No, I have seen District 9. For some reason, I was thinking of Chappie.
Oh, Chappie's great. Fucking Deontward's the best. Dude, they do one of the best live concerts I've ever been to. Super hype. Really fun. But I came across this interview with Neil Blomkamp, the director of Elysium, Chappie, and District 9, about his upcoming film titled Demonic. In the movie, we follow the main character into the mind of her mother. The mother gets sick and is in a coma, so the daughter uses this experimental technology to render herself in her mother's dream state. And the movie generally has the appearance of a mix of film and game-like rendering. This is because the majority of the film is actually shot in one room with 250 cameras attached to a cage to create a simulated world. The daughter's perspective, or the daughter's performance, is captured with volumetric capture through the use of all the cameras lining the room and digital recording, which is converted into 3D objects using photogrammetry. We mentioned that earlier. That's the same technology that allows you to see a picture from different angles, and we see that in things like Google Maps, Pokemon Go, different games, whatever. And they use this, but they implement it to create motion video. So they're capturing the daughter's performance from like 250 angles, but using photogrammetry, they can create all of the other angles in between virtually to create like a seamless render of what the performance would look like from any angle. So the end product means you're never locked into a single angle. The 3D video can be navigated on a computer, such as like pretend you're a floating ghost walking through the movie, and you could be any perspective or point of view that you choose. And the footage can essentially be redirected or edited from any angle. During the interview, Neil said, if you were to pause any frame in there, you could move all around the characters in 3 dimensions, because any individual frame is a 3-dimensional piece of geometry. It's almost like you have a 3D sculpture of every single frame of a movie. The amount of information involved in capturing a movie like this is immense. At one point during the filming, Neil and his brother had to load up a truck with every spare computer they could get their hands on to help with the workload. Between all the cameras, they were creating 12 terabytes of digital footage a day, which if you're a
fucking obnoxious
computer, digital person, whatever, you know that's a fucking ton of shit. And that's probably for like 2 minutes of footage, right?
Yeah.
Or, under an hour each time. So just massive amounts of data. So overnight, crews would work for another 12 hours, transferring the data from all of the cameras, resetting the camera room for the next morning before shooting could resume. And then all that data had to be loaded into the digital software to be compressed and converted into 3D geography. It took months to get the data together. Once completed, the movie can actually be recorded. So the performance is captured 3-dimensionally, but after you have it all in the software, that's when you're really like filming the movie into a final product through navigating and directing the film inside the virtual reality environment that they had captured and created. Each frame or scene can be lit or filmed however they choose through the use of virtual lighting and perspective of virtual cameras. Characters or scenes could even be placed in entirely different volumetrically captured environments. It's like filming a movie inside a video game on God mode.
Fuck yeah, man. It really seems like, and now I realize that this movie's actually out already and I want to watch it.
Yeah.
It's $7. So
I also
could be worth it.
One of the really cool techniques that they did, so like they had it all volumetrically captured. It's loaded into a computer, and in the computer you can navigate the 3D environment. But to capture some of their angles, they did this really cool technique where they would place the digital camera inside the scene, right? Mm-hmm. And then they use a real camera in real life that is linked to the digital camera, where like it senses like your phone, like it'll know how you move, right? I forget what they call that, the GPS system of your phone, basically. So as they're moving the camera in real life, it moves the camera in the virtual environment. So that way they could just walk around with the camera to capture angles they were interested in capturing. Like, that's so fucking cool.
Yeah, that's pretty wild shit.
So many possibilities with that.
Yeah. And like I said, it's so, I think it's very relevant to the VR, like the video game thing. You see a lot more of that, like, I mean, first perspective games are not anything new, but like, the rendering of the area around a subject is so important. Like, there's so much that needs to be, like, because you're loading like a map basically, or stuff like that. So, there's a lot of when you have a linear story or a linear level kind of thing, when they have to like load something out and then load in the new thing, they have like the elegant loading where like you go through a tunnel or you go through a smaller area or something where yeah, exactly. It loads a whole new section of the map of the level for you to go through, and that all that other data can go away so they can load in this new thing. I think that's, it's a different way of storing that information, that when you have if you were to implement the volumetric capture thing, you end up having to do the same thing, but maybe just in a different way, or even you wouldn't have to, because I guess you would, because it would still have to be meshed and mapped to different green screen shit. But like, I don't know. I really like I think of like Myst and stuff like that. Like, Myst was one of the first to have a the way they do like a point and click thing where it's from your perspective and you're investigating, really the game is in the surroundings, it's in the environment, it's not in a thing that you are holding or a thing that you're shooting or looking, whatever. It's about investigating the environment,
right? And
the first Myst game, you get to lock on to different scenes, and they're like, these are the things that you should be looking at. These are the things that are important. By Myst 3, I think it was, they took it in a different direction where like you snap to a new, you click forward to go to a new area, but it shows you have like a 3D bubble around you where you're looking around in each bubble, and you can see it's not like a physical bubble that's in the game, but like you have from that point you have a three-dimensional visual point. You can like look at a same thing from a different angle by turning your character around. Mm-hmm. And it makes it more interesting because it's like when you're trying to solve a mystery, you're trying to do a thing, you need, you're not going to just go to the things that are important. You're going to have to look at everything and then try to figure out what's important. It makes it harder, but I think it makes it more fun. And the like Myst, they're doing the cyan, they're doing firmament, and that's kind of what they're more similar to what they're doing now, is like it's kind of built for VR, so it kind of immerses you into this new environment. It's completely different, but it makes me think of, it's like it's merging the video game world with the movie kind of thing. And even like, imagine if they'd done it with like Resident Evil.
Oh no, the newer ones have been in VR. I haven't got to play them yet. In VR, but I love the idea of, imagine just like games that aren't rendered, like just fully volumetric games, right? Like,
right.
Think how cool that could be. Like, if you capture everything a person could do in a game, every environment that's in that game, every action that happens, you could play a game that is filmed. Like, that's so cool. Like, I could play the Ricky simulator.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's extremely boring.
Record a podcast.
Yeah, it's a life simulator.
Or like,
have you seen? There's a game. It's called like streamer YouTuber simulator or something. It's funny, but that's exactly what I imagine. It's like you have to go to work, and then you have to like drive your car to work, and then you have to make enough money to buy food and or buy a toilet so you can go to the bathroom and shit like that. It's goofy, but I think it's fun.
Goat Simulator is the classic.
Fucking Goat Sim.
there's a recent drug dealer one that looked kind of goofy, but imagine like if you volumetrically captured an actor's performance for one movie, you could theoretically put that performance in any other movie.
Oh, hell yeah.
Or like you could shoot your movie and then like there'd be so many different like editor or like director's cuts of things, because you could like they could change what angles they want you to see things from, or they could relight things completely. They could change the clothing in theory, like so many different things you could do. But it'd be so weird to see like your favorite movie character or video game character, if it was recorded volumetrically for whatever they were creating, then you could take that and put it in your other favorite game or movie. Like,
you could have fucking Captain Jack Sparrow in the next John Wick movie.
That's the best example I could think of. Oh, it's so funny. Oh,
I was going to say you could have Shrek in something, and I realized Shrek's it's an animated character.
Shrek can be anywhere.
It's just Michael Myers in a suit.
Can you imagine the different shots, like in the Western studio they were showing, like watching it from the horse's perspective? Can you imagine all the crazy shit like an outstanding director like Quentin Tarantino would pull off?
Oh yeah,
like,
I'm looking forward to the Martin Scorsese fucking volumetric capture.
Holy shit! Like watching something like Pulp Fiction record.
Yeah,
or like. I feel like it would be best for action movies, or like high intent, like high octane kind of shit for certain performances. Like, man, Marvel's gonna tear it up with this shit. That's for sure. I'm not a fan, but fuck, it would be so cool to watch a fight scene, like a supernatural fight scene from any fucking angle imaginable.
I think it also increases the rewatchability of certain movies, because it's like, oh, okay, I watched it from this perspective.
Well,
or from, you have to switch, I guess, in different scenes, but like now I want to watch it again from a different perspective.
Definitely. See, I would imagine we're not going to get the
whole file, right. But
yeah, for
I'm
a
still
while.
Thinking like, in the future.
Yeah, because they're definitely going to be using it just for, I think, the finished edit of a specific scene. But eventually, dude, you'll get a whole AR or the whole AR file of a movie, right?
Yeah.
Plug it into your Oculus and
it's the next Blu-ray.
Yeah. Pop up the Mario pipe into fucking, I don't even know, Mario World.
Oh yeah, man.
That'd be so dope.
You get John Leguizamo to come back and be Luigi in the new Mario movie.
Dude,
In volumetric capture.
Walking through a movie like a Ghost would be so cool, but it would be really difficult if you were locked into a character. Like imagine being a character you don't want or you don't understand, right? Like imagine you're like a misogynist piece of shit, right? And then you do something shitty and the court's like, hey, we're making you go through this experience as a woman now, or like you know what I mean? Like there's so many like weird perspective changes that like you can't. It's like the virtual jail shit. I think we looked at that article a while back. Like, imagine like if they could give someone a life sentence that they perceive it in real time, but it's really 25 minutes, right? Like imagine like you do something fucked up and then you're forced to experience it in this volumetrically captured environment. So you have to be a perspective. You know, there's just so it's so cool. I mean, I would want to like body swap as many different people's or performances, perspectives as possible.
Yeah.
That'd be so cool. I don't want to be myself all the time. I want to live through someone else's eyes. That'd be so
Who wants to be
wild.
themselves? Come on.
Right. We're meant to
we
love
live our
ourselves.
entire lives wishing we were someone else.
We don't have to like ourselves.
Right.
So I guess to sum up this part, I think we probably made a ton of mistakes on like the technical aspects, but I think I know we were just really excited for like the concept of the future possibilities of this technology. And I'd like to, I think for the rest of it, we're going to switch to purely abstract ideas from this.
Yeah.
Does that sound groovy?
Yeah, it sounds groovy to me.
Dope.
Sounds fucking rad.
Radical. So for the second half, we are just going to get abstract and explore some of the concepts around volumetric capture and have some fun. I know when we were first looking at this, I kept thinking about remote sensing.
Right.
Which I know I've played with. Have you experienced any?
No. There was a time, I don't remember if I told this story on the podcast or not. I think I have.
Okay.
There's an incident when I was a kid.
Cat attack.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I think it was a squirrel or something ran across my roof because I definitely heard something. Sounded like it was something in my apartment.
It's getting revenge.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if I told this story on the podcast or not, but I had an event when I was a kid. I was too young to remember it. But I had a nightmare one night, and that wasn't uncommon. And I went into my parents' room, and I said something about, in my dream, something happened to my uncle's family. It was a girl. The way I told my mom was, it was a girl in my uncle's family who got hit in the head, and then she fell down a hill. It's kind of goofy and weird. And then a couple days later, we find out that, on my uncle's wife's side of the family, on my aunt's side, it was like her niece or somebody had gone missing. She was dating some guy that, I don't know, they were in like an old house or something. And I forget the whole story, but like he hit her, with like a hammer or something. I forget how exactly it happened, but she fell through the floorboards in this old like abandoned house they were like, in or whatever. So she got hit in the head, and then she fell, and it was like, a couple days later when they found her, and then my mom was like, what the fuck? There was that. I don't remember it. But that was a thing that actually happened.
And you witnessed it through astral projection.
Apparently.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah. Since being an adult, I would try to get into like the lucid dreaming thing, because someone told me like that's a way to like astrally project, is like through your dreams, and like, get into your subconscious, and like once you're able to control your dreams, you can do weird shit.
Yeah.
And one of the ways to control your dreams is by like getting more familiar with them. And like when you first wake up, like write down all the details of your dream. And I did that for a while. My cat is fucking with my shit hardcore. So I started doing that for a while, and the dreams got so vivid and real, but they were also extremely horrific. Like I would have like these deep, like horrible, like horror movie dreams where I started writing them down to the point where I thought like, man, I need to turn these into something. Like I need to get into like filmmaking to make these movies because they're fucking like they're short stories, but they'd be fucking terrifying and like super arty.
So like, I've only had that with bad dreams, but I feel like it's such a hard thing to control. But I'm gonna explain remote sensing here in a sec.
Yeah.
Have you had like a more out of body experience? Anything?
No. The idea was I was trying to do that, and I got in over my head, and I didn't like it anymore.
It is a weird realm because you really are playing with your mind in ways that can have negative like consequences also.
Right.
But I used to play with that kind of stuff a lot, and volumetric capture just reminds me a lot of remote sensing, which is, it's like some magic supernatural bullshit, but it's a cool thought experiment. So the idea of remote sensing is the acquisition of information about an object or phenomenon without making physical contact with said object or subject. In contrast to it in situ or on-site observation. So a lot of people think of it as like psychic stuff or like astral projecting kind of thing. The term is applied essentially to acquiring information about the Earth and other planets in the realm of magic or supernatural. Remote viewing is the practice of seeking impressions about a distant or unseen target, purportedly sensing with the mind. So you're using your mind to sense something out, right?
Right.
And the people that used to practice it, the idea was like to get into a meditation-like trance and slowly to like picture yourself and like start to see yourself from different angles, and then to start to play with those perspectives and get your like mind's eye to leave your body and then continue viewing things.
Yeah.
And it's such a fucking cool idea. I was like obsessed with it for like a year, and it got really weird. But like you really can trick yourself to thinking you're seeing things.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's so weird to see things from all those perspectives too. Or to it's doing the same thing that volumetric capture recording would be doing, where like you're not actually seeing shit, right?
Right.
But you're like generating all the information in between the angles you did see to create like a picture of something that actually isn't there. Like a performance in volumetric capture, like depending on what angle you're watching something, you might not have had a camera at that angle, but you had enough pictures or angles around it that you can create the image in your mind or on film. But remote viewing experiments have been historically criticized for lack of proper controls and repeatability. And I fully agree, there's no scientific evidence that remote viewing exists, right. And the topic of remote viewing is generally regarded and should be as pseudoscience. Typically, a remote viewer is expected to give information about an object, event, or person, or location that is hidden from the physical view and separated by some distance. We've seen this a ton in true crime stuff with random psychics calling in saying they know where a body is because they fucking remote sensed into the, space, and then they found the body by some lake, and they fucking ruin cases sometimes.
Right.
But physicists Russell Targ and Harold Pulloff parapsychology researchers at the Stanford Research Institute, are generally credited with coining the term remote viewing to distinguish it from the closer related concept of clairvoyance. The idea is to astral project your consciousness into reality and travel and see remote places or things. It's definitely total nonsense for practical value. But I really think the concept is worthwhile. Like the idea of like not only playing with those meditations, but the idea of just like seeing things from perspectives we can't physically perceive.
Yeah. I think it's like you mentioned, it's as a form of meditation. I think it's fun. I definitely don't regret all the weird dream shit I went through trying to like get to a point of trying to control my subconscious.
Right.
I think it was fun. Like I said, I got a bunch of different art kind of ideas out of it. It was the first time I ever flew in a dream, and it felt super vivid.
That's awesome. I've never had that.
It's really wild. It felt like so I had one of those, those like underwater crafts that people like hold on to. That like
boogie board.
Yeah, basically that's got like a little motor on it. It pulls them through.
Yeah.
I felt like I had something that was like that I was holding in front of me, and I was basically like Supermaning, as I'm flying kind of thing. And I would go up or I'd go down and then go back up to get altitude. And then, it definitely felt a little scary at first, but once I felt like I got the hang of it in my dream, I could control it and I could do cool shit. And that was fun. Normally I've never felt like before that I had control in my dreams before. It was usually just like shit just happened.
Sarah comes by it naturally. I've met some people that do. It sounds like it's like a pretty rare thing, but yeah, I'm always jealous. I in any dream, I never have any control except if it's a nightmare, and then I have the perception of freedom. You know what I mean?
There's always that like when you try to run and like your legs are like melting into the floor, like it's all like you're trying to run through quicksand, or like you ever had the one where like you try to throw a punch, but you're just like your arms like moving real slow. You ever have that?
I don't think how often do you dream?
I don't remember my dreams very often anymore.
Yeah.
I probably haven't had a memorable one in a few months.
I think I probably, any dream, maybe a small percentage I throw away, right? But any dream I remember, I pretty much remember it for the rest of my life because they're so rare. Like maybe two to 4 dreams a year.
That's wild.
And so they're like really emotionally heavy or weighted when I do have them.
Now you know that you're dreaming all the time anyways.
Right. Yeah.
You just don't remember it. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to remember or something's going on. You know what I mean?
Have you ever had the teeth falling out of your head dream?
I have in a different way, but yeah.
That's apparently it's one of the most common dreams. Right? I've never had that.
See, I have all kinds of fears with my teeth anyway. So I'm weird about teeth.
That is weird. I've had other like, they say that's like a something about like your vanity, like you're thinking about your appearance to the world kind of thing.
Sure.
I feel like I have other dreams that are similar. Like I've had dreams where like I wake up and like my beard's gone, or
I'm naked.
I've definitely had the ones where like I show up at work and I'm naked kind of thing, or I'm missing like half my, like I'm not wearing a shirt or shoes.
Full body beard.
Yeah, full body beard. Or you show up to work, like work anxiety dreams would probably be my number one that I get, that I remember.
Never had that.
Usually I have those, and now it's a sign like, okay, I either some shit needs to change or I need to quit this job.
Take some time off.
Yeah. My favorite one so far is when I had a dream where I think someone else, I read somewhere else that someone had a similar dream where I showed up at my work and I was shirtless and there was a whole restaurant full of people and none of the prep had been done and it's just me, no one else is there, and I have to like they start bringing back orders, and when they came back with an order, I went to ask them a question and they turned and looked at me and they opened their mouth and the only thing that came out of their mouth was the sound of the ticket printer.
Oh my God.
And it was like, oh fuck.
That's hilarious.
And I woke up after that and it was like, this is terrible. That
definitely sounds like one of the cheesy jump dreams in a movie kind of thing. Yeah. I really like the idea, like maybe you've played with this a little bit, like, cause I know like being an artist, like figure drawing, those type of things, like we both have practiced seeing things from different angles quite a bit. But do you ever do the thing, like maybe at the bar or whatever, like when other people are having a conversation talking and you're like present, but you're not like engaged and you're just like watching, doing like the people watch type thing. Yeah. But then like, the thing, like, like if you have a cat really close to your face, right? Yeah. Have you ever done the thing where like somebody taught me, like when my newest kitten was young, because she was so playful, to get her attention and like try to teach her to engage with you is to practice blinking at her. Yeah. Because they watch your eyes and they're paying attention to your eyes and they engage with you a little more.
Yeah, exactly.
You're like tricking them into soul bonding with you kind of thing. But you do that thing with the cat where they're close to your face, and when you look at them with one eye and then the other, the angles change so drastically. Right. And it's like so weird because you like forget that we're seeing things from two different angles, right?
Right, exactly.
And it's odd. It's odd. It's one of those things about life that makes me be like, I don't want to exist anymore. Like it's like putting butter on toast, right? Like that's one of those things.
You say right, and like I don't know how it's the same.
All right, you take toast out of the toaster, right? Mm. It's warm, right? Mm-hmm. Should be appropriately warm. You take said butter. You had the butter sitting out. It should be semi-soft. You take the butter, you put it on the toast, and it doesn't spread. It never spreads. I know you know what I mean.
I do know what you mean. I don't see how it's relevant.
It rips. All right, those are like the things in life that just make me be like, I don't understand.
I thought you were saying that was relevant to the one eye open, one
not
eye
at all
thing. Okay. You're just saying that's a terrible thing in life that you hate that makes you want to die.
It's one of those things where it's like I can't fully understand it. Like when you think about like seeing things from two different eyes and the vision combining, or being like right-handed and left eye dominant, like those weird.
Can I tell you something that's going to change your life?
What?
Switch to margarine.
I don't know if I've.
It tastes the fucking same on toast. No
Spreads
one
better?
cares. Oh yeah, it's always.
It's softer?
It's made to be softer and like dippable, and yeah. Because it's just oil. It's just oil that's whipped.
See, I'm from a butter household.
I mean, I get that butter is definitely tastier.
Is it?
I mean, in general, yeah, but you get the same effect with margarine. It's not big of a deal.
I'm learning a lot today.
There's nothing wrong with some country crock.
I'm gonna switch to margarine. So, like,
I think they have whipped butter too. You can just get that; it does the same thing.
So you're looking at your cat, right? Mm-hmm. You got
and I'm making my toast.
Yes, at the same time. At the same time. And you see it from the two angles, right? Do you ever do that, like, at a bar or whatever, or like you're in that conversation where you're not listening, and it's like you start like fading out of your body, like not a full out of body experience, but you're like so bored or like dissociated you feel like you're just leaving. And then like
when you and like two people are at a bar and you're on the end and the two people are like, there's a person next to you and then there's a person next to them that's not next to you. And they're having a conversation. Yeah.
And then like, if you ever like started playing with that, where you start like being like, what would it look like if I was from their point of view?
Yeah, a little bit.
And then you like can be like, I'm going to watch this play out from the bartender's point of view or the beer down the bar, you know, like you just start leaving this world more and more.
I guess I've never been that bored in a conversation, but
I don't know if it's boredom, but I don't know. I like the idea of seeing things from like an actual different perspective. I think there's something like if we could be in the other person's, like their eyes, there's like a real like space of understanding empathy better.
Yeah.
Or something. I don't know.
No, I do get that, because if you're, I mean, even just the idea of empathy is I mean, you boil it down to like you put yourself in someone else's shoes, you know, and that involves more of also like understanding like what they're going through outside of this situation, like before, you know, the week prior to this interaction you're having with this person, what's their life been like? What are they going through?
Right.
That's kind of more what empathy is. So if you could boil that down to, I guess, being able to see things not just through their eyes, but through their perspective of opinions and their perspective of emotion, I do think of that a lot.
Can I run something by you?
Yeah.
So we've already got way off the tracks.
Yeah,
and
that's okay.
We're going long, and can I like throw some other total random shit in?
Yeah, why not?
So, all right. So, volumetric capture, right?
Yeah.
So, I feel like as a person, if you have like a strong enough creative engine in your brain, like you can experience anything else. Like if I'm trying to draw a tree, right? Like it's what all artists do. Like I don't have the availability of the perspective of it from the other side, right?
Right.
But you can like use your processing power to create this image that isn't there.
Right.
And experience things a different way. It's so, to me, that's like a really odd thing. And I think that's part of the reason, like, when we look at, like, for signs of intelligent life, they say, like, art is one of the good tests of that. Like, if we found an alien in outer space, it can't talk, its body can't move, right? Or is very limited. And we were trying to figure out what this thing is capable. Like, if it could do something creatively, is a good indication that it has, like, powerful processors. There's something unique about creativity and being able to use perspective in that way.
There's a thing, what's the thing called, where people, like, aren't visual thinkers kind of thing, like when you say, like...
Dum-dums.
Yeah. It's actually a decent population of people that are like, when you say like when I say the word apple, an image pops into your mind, right?
I just ate 3 apples.
God damn, that's a lot of apples.
No, I pictured it.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying you ate 3 apples. It's like, fuck, dog, that's a lot of apples. You're gonna be on the shitter all day tomorrow.
Straight Johnny Appleseed.
So like you have in your head like designated colors, and like you can picture like the perspective that you see them from for whatever reason. Like there are people that just don't have that. When you say apple, they don't think of an apple.
sounds so terrible.
Right. It's a really weird thing. So like, I think that's a whole different thing to think about, but it's like, and I know artists that, like, I think one of the people on Drawfee has that, where like they don't visualize things like that. They don't picture things in their head when they think of them, which I think is really weird to me. Like, I can't even imagine what that's like.
I think John has some of that. There's another specific term for what, when people experience something, it's like a feel. It's like the color and smell type thing.
Yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah. So like
they can see sounds and shit.
Yeah, but you're totally right that some people, the visual, like, as the wiring of your brain doesn't fire like up the projections that someone more creatively geared tends to do.
Yeah.
Right? So I had a question for you in regards to perception and empathy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I have always thought of myself as a very empathetic person, right? And I'm creative. I can imagine things. So anytime someone's like, hey, can you imagine what that's like? I'm like, yes, you're stupid. Of course I can imagine that, right? I can imagine, experience any luxury or horror ever to exist. I can feel anything, right?
Right.
I can imagine what it's like from that perspective or that perspective. It's all fucking possible, right? Like, I feel like I can spin that projection up and like feel it, right?
Right.
I felt like that forever. And then like, as I feel like my mind has gotten stronger with age, I feel more and more I can only spin up like fake projections of things. Like, I feel like I can experience someone else's perspective and like trick myself into feeling like that's empathy. Like, I can be like, I've been through similar situations. I'm creative. I can imagine what that feels like. That's what that must feel like. And I assume I'm experiencing that perspective because I thought I was empathetic, right? Or I thought I could feel that empathy. And as like, I've got what I feel like is stronger in my mind, or like a better sense of self, I feel more and more that sense of empathy I was feeling was not accurate. Like, I assume I feel it, but that I'm like giving myself a fake projection of what that is. It's like, it's all like a weird pretend, right? Like,
it kind of is. Well, let me ask you this. Say you're working one-on-one with somebody. It's like you and someone else, and you're doing a task together. Or it could be multiple people there or whatever.
Sure.
But one person there, besides yourself, is maybe they like just lost a loved one or something. And they're like, you can, the grief is visual upon them. You can see that you can tell that they're in a, they're not completely there. They're going through it. How does that affect you?
So like,
not even you're talking about it. You just happen to know that this is what happened, and you're just going about your day doing work.
I definitely get the thing where like, I feel what other people are feeling.
Yeah.
Like, it, even if I like didn't give a fuck about that person, right? Like, yeah. I hate that person. They're annoying as shit. I'm going to feel a little bit of that pain by virtue. They were talking about this in that episode of Fringe last night. The idea of like emotion or ideas spreading through osmosis. Like, even if I don't want to feel it, I'm feeling some of that emotion by osmosis, right?
Right.
Like, I feel sensitive in that sense where I can't fully stop that, right?
Exactly.
But if I like engage with that person and I'm trying to, like, I feel like I've been through traumatic shit. I know what loss feels like. I, of course, must know what that loss is like because I can imagine it. I can create lots of simulations in my mind that would tell me kind of what that would feel like. So I obviously understand what that person is going through. But the expansion of that is like, you feel like you can understand what everyone goes through.
Right.
In any situation. And like the more you like really boil it down is like, maybe I'm not experiencing true empathy at all. Or you know what I mean? Like there is a part of that where you're like, how much is this genuine? Because maybe the amount like you pick up through osmosis that where you're like, hey, I kind of feel that vibe is like the real empathy, and all the imagined shit is just nonsense.
I mean, so empathy as a pure concept, it's not that I don't think it doesn't, not like I think it doesn't exist. I think that for the most part, people that we consider to be empaths are still, can only be based on their own experience.
Right.
It's not like in the purest form of what an empath would mean that like just being around someone. I think it's a fringe thing. It was a fringe thing. So there's an empath they meet or whatever, and he absorbs the emotions of people around. He can, like, if he's in a room of people that are sad, like he gets super sad. Or there's another one where that's what it was. It was reverse empath, where if he's upset, he goes into a room and everyone else gets upset. And the idea is like, he projects it. So like in the core of that, it would be an autonomous reaction to people's emotions of being able to feel concretely their experience. But I don't, and it's not that I'm saying that it's very science fiction-y to me for that to be whole. It's because I feel like my experience is the same. It's you're basing it on your own experience. The ability to put yourself into, I guess not even the ability to, but the feeling of like you require yourself to put yourself into those people's shoes, to put yourself into that position, to try to comprehend what they're telling you. Mm-hmm. Like when someone tells you, like I think the easiest one is like, or one of the stronger ones is like when they've lost a loved one, is when your reaction is then like, you're not just saying, oh wow, that really sucks. You're actually in your head thinking about like what you felt the last time that happened to you. And you're trying to put it on perspective of like that relationship that they have. And the fact that you feel compelled to do that autonomously, like without thinking about it, you just do it. That's what makes you an empath, where most people don't do that. They feel bad because they're like, oh wow, that sucks. Like I remember when that happened to me and it sucks, but it's not the same as like trying to comprehend their perspective.
Yeah. I feel like part of what I've been experiencing though is like, as like I used to be like, in an analogy, like my skin was way more raw. Like I was more beat up. My nerves were more exposed, right? And as I like feel more fortified, I feel like I'm still experiencing empathy, but it's different where like it's but I feel like maybe it was just always that way, and like we think we're very like, I think we think we're experiencing it from someone else's perspective. But like the reality is like, I think we are who we are at our core to some extent. We can change some things, right?
Yeah.
But if like someone I know that like I don't have like a super strong love for is like, hey, my kid died, I'd be like, that's sad. I could feel that. I could like pretend I know those feelings, but in the end, it's all like really selfish because like maybe that's a more extreme example, but like how much do most of us really give a fuck like about other people's experience, like regardless of like how engaged we are in like politics or like seeing what friends are doing, whatever. It's like as long as like it doesn't affect us, our own lives, it's like, oh yeah, I feel for you, but like you can think you're feeling it and you're not really trying to feel something.
You're right. Yeah. Unless it's affecting you personally.
It's like, I don't want to feel that shit. Like,
exactly. Yeah. You don't want to. And that's, I think
right.
but I think I still think I know for me at least, it's harder to ignore, I think, than other people have. Like for me, it's harder to ignore that kind of shit. Like for me, like I literally have to turn off, the news. I have to, turn off shit like that because I get too deep into it and I depress myself
right.
in a way that's like, this isn't my plight, but I still feel so very strongly for it that I'm harming myself in a way.
And if you decide to engage or feel every plight of all people, it's
right.
Constant despair.
Yeah, and it's another thing that empathetic people do where you will, it's a problem with depression shit because you're like, well, what do I have? Like, why should I bother being depressed when there are people that have it so much worse?
Right.
And I think a lot of people do that, but like the problem with empathetic people doing that is it's like even like the people around you feel like they have it, legitimate problems where your problems seem to you, it's like, well, I feel like I have my shit under control because you have control of it. You don't have control over their problems. So you don't understand how much of a grasp they do or don't have on their issues, where you might be able to gauge that better with yourself.
Definitely.
So I feel like it's easier for someone that is more inclined to be empathetic to be like, well, my problems don't matter because it's not really a problem. It's an inconvenience, or it's not, you can downplay it, but someone else's problems that seem a lot more extreme to you are actually not that big of a deal. And maybe they're just a crybaby about it. Not, and I say that jokingly, but there's definitely things that I know that people have complained about where it's like, that's not really a big deal in your life.
Right.
You just need a thing to complain about. Everyone knows those people.
See, and that's like selfishness stuff. And I feel like there's so much at our core that is meant to be selfish.
Yeah.
And like,
it's a self-preservation thing.
Definitely. Are you experiencing this at all? Like, I feel like as I get older or am changing, I feel like much less sensitivity in every sense. Like, less moved by impassionate things and by other people, like empathy. It doesn't mean I don't care about the same things, but I feel like there's something like you as you get older, like you harden a little bit, like you're not meant to feel things.
You build walls around yourself that are.
Yeah, it's like
the intention
really
is.
Fuck,
yeah, I think it's still
right?
it's still self-preservation. You're trying to protect yourself from having to deal with it. It's like if it's not affecting you personally, you have your own shit to deal with. You don't need to be dealing with this too. That's not your problem.
It's like even if you don't want it to be that way, it's like you can't like you can change how you think about things, but you can't change how you react, like how you actually feel about something.
Yeah.
Like you can't logic out of an emotional.
Yeah. I've thought about that even like when I've passed by, like in the, like I'm driving down the street and someone's car is stuck in the snow. And like, there have definitely been times in my life when like, when I was younger where it was like, okay, I'm going to get out of my car. I'm a young, able-bodied person. I'm going to stop and I'm going to try to help them.
Right.
But I realized, I can't, every time I did it, it was like, I guess not every time. Most of the time when I did it, the feeling of, that self-gratitude feeling of like I did something good didn't outweigh the
cost.
Yeah, the cost of like, this was it's something that from the outside looking in was like, okay, I can just help this person real quick. Turned into a whole nother thing, or like an hour's worth of, like helping them do this. And then that didn't work. And then now they got to call somebody and like, hey, while you're here, can you help? And it's like
grocery store run.
Yeah. It's like some shit like that. It's like, fuck, man. Like you bit off more than you can chew kind of thing. And I got so burnt on that all the time that I'm definitely more often now if I pass somebody, there is still the initial thought in my head of like, I should help them. And then it's like, nah, I'm going to keep going though. I got my own shit. And like, I think that those walls that are like of experience, but it's like, it's still a wall that's telling me like, you know what? No, I can't do that. I'm not going to do that.
Very similar. Like I still sometimes do go out of my way to help people, but I feel like openness to those other empathetic positions, let's say, it's a lot less because I feel like as you get older, you're protecting yourself more. Mm-hmm. And there's something about like all of those other perspectives are available. Like we see, like you're driving down the road and you can see the version of yourself that's going to like help that person,
right? Or
going to change this problem in the world or whatever. And then like we still naturally have like the protective, selfish desire to like see things as ourselves. Because I there's something you get lost when you see things too many ways too. Like there's too many like decision trees in the game where like you can't process everything.
Yeah,
so you have to like
the reality of a situation becomes foggy through trying to perceive all angles. Can't see the forest through the trees.
Definitely, it's a twinge sad. Yeah. I don't like feeling as like unsusceptible to life.
Yeah,
I don't know. So the men who stare at goats, right?
I was wondering if we were going to cut back to that, or are we going to,
I almost skipped it all because I liked that conversation though.
Yeah, it was good. I think we're definitely going to have to include something about empathy in the title.
Yeah, the empath who stared at goats. So I was just wanted to mention this movie mainly, not so much the movie was okay. What was it, George Clooney?
Yeah.
It was pretty funny. It was kind of stupid as fuck, though, too. But
well, I mean, there's a lot of movies that are stupid as fuck, but they're also really good. Like Talladega Nights.
Yes. Spider Monkey. But, this movie was based off a nonfiction work by John Ronson. The book and the movie, it's concerning the U.S.'s Army and the exploration of New Age concepts and the potential military applications of the paranormal. So the title of the movie refers to attempts to kill goats by staring at them and stopping their hearts. So I just want to explore this because it's fun. It's related to our seeing things from different perspectives, the volumetric capture, remote viewing, and just interesting thoughts. So during the tense period of the Cold War, the U.S. government sought to deploy a potent new weapon against the Soviet Union, mind reading. So during the 70s, the U.S. was like actually playing with like crazy, weird, paranormal shit like mind reading, Manchurian Candidates, acid, all that shit.
Hell yeah.
I hate hate that talking about this at all. Like, if someone doesn't know about any of this stuff, they just think you're fucking psycho.
Yeah, but it's real shit that actually happened, and it's wild.
But you don't want to be the dude who's like, look it up, man.
Yeah, exactly.
But I figured if somebody's listening, if they've made it this far, they're pretty cool.
Yeah. If you've made it this far, you're definitely a cool person.
Pretty cool, yeah. In a highly classified project conducted first in a California research lab in the 1970s and later at an Army base in Maryland, the CIA, Army and Defense Intelligence Agency, recruited men and women claiming to have powers of extrasensory perception, ESP, to help uncover military and domestic intelligence secrets. In 2017, the CIA declassified some 12 million pages of records revealing previously unknown details about the program, which would eventually become known as Project Stargate. By the time the program was shut down in 1995, psychics known as remote viewers had taken part in a wide array of operations, from locating hostages kidnapped by Islamic terrorist groups by tracing the paths of the fugitive criminals within the United States. They found bodies of murder victims, different Russian missile shit. And like a lot of it was claimed to have worked, but you never get the ratios of
right.
hit to fail, because it's obviously all nonsense. But at the time, before it's studied, you kind of can't, especially during that time period, you kind of have to look into it, right?
Right, exactly. When you're looking at like the cutting edge of what could be the World War III, after the invention of the nuclear bomb shit, and you're like, this could the next big thing is going to end everything. Right,
like if you consider the power of those bombs to burn a human being's shadow into the ground, like the idea of being able to perceive another person's mental energy doesn't sound that crazy.
Right.
I mean, so many things were being discovered so quickly that some of the what now is obviously paranormal or pseudoscience, a lot of those things, like I'm sure it could have felt like there were aspects of possibility, and who the fuck knows with some things still, but for now, we know, a lot of things are bullshit. But the roots of Project Stargate go back to 1972, when a classified report made waves within the U.S. military intelligence communities by claiming that the Soviet Union was pouring money into research involving ESP and psychokinesis, the ability to move objects with the mind, for espionage purposes. In response, the CIA began funding its own top-secret research headquarters at the Stanford Research Institute in Menlo Park, California.
Not to be confused with Menlo Park, New Jersey, where fucking Edison did all this shit. That's what I was trying to... I just had to Google that because I saw that and I thought might have been the same thing. And sorry, that was an aside for me. Yeah, it's really wild shit that, I mean, like I said, it's wild shit, but I mean, obviously in that time it can see where it can make sense to fucking try whatever you possibly can.
Yeah. And so much of it was nonsense, but I still feel like even the U.S. military could be tricked into spending all of that money, because there is something inherently intriguing or powerful about what our mind could be capable. Like, just even thinking about being able to view things in a way that we can't. Like, they were able to convince top people in the military to put billions and billions of dollars over 20 years into it. Like,
yeah, man, you can't have a deficit. You spend that money so that you get the same amount of money for funding next year. That's how people get paid.
But what about
that's business 101, man? If it's not working, you don't say, well, it's not working. You say we need more funding so we can do more stuff.
Right, we found the terrorist
It's not
cell
working
phone
yet.
by blinking there, right?
It's showing promising results. We haven't had anything breakthrough yet, but we're on the brink of it.
Theoretical still.
Yeah.
What would be like one way or like concept of viewing that you would be most interested? Like if you could do something with your mind's eye, like in an abstract theoretical sense, what would you be drawn to?
I've always liked the idea of, so like in nature documentaries when they show like predatory animals hunting, like what like a lion hunting a gazelle or something. That kind of point of view of like from both sides of at what point did this gazelle notice the trouble? And was it because the other gazelles ran? Or, who was the first one to notice it? Also the perspective of like, cause I see like, even when my cat plays, like she does goofy shit where it's like, where they're playing with the toy and then they stop and walk away from it and pretend like they don't notice it anymore. And then they go around the corner and then they like, attack it from that corner like they were creeping up on it or something. That kind of perspective of like, cause like if you do that in your, as a human, unless you're like, playing, paintball or something, you go to jail. So like that, it's a different kind of, cause even when you're hunting, I guess even with a gun, it's different cause you're at a distance.
So what do you mean exactly?
I guess the perspective of that hunting thing of like what's, I guess it wouldn't
like
even be like,
in.
Yeah, it's like even like, I guess I'm realizing now I'm not interested less in the point of view, more interested in like what's the thought process is going on in the head, like
of the other being
of either one, of trying to in their head focus on like what's going through the lion's brain, like it's innate. What's it called? It's like what's it called when it's a natural reflex thing?
They definitely are in like, they have to be in a pure flow state.
It's instinct. So like but like to break down those thoughts, I think would be interesting of like, or even like something that instinctually like people do, like to break down the thought processes that are going on subconsciously behind,
Kinda,
but
like,
that's not what you asked. So that's different.
Well, I mean, the spin of that could be, you'd like to be able to perceive, like upon viewing someone, to perceive which instincts their mind are going to,
Right.
Or like how their mind is working.
Yeah. I guess from a point of view, I don't know. I like I said, I always like flying. I think that's kind of cool. Like from a bird's kind of perspective.
Just astral project out.
Right. And I think and I guess that thinking about that was going to be my first thing, but I realized like, as like an osprey flying over a lake, and they see that bird's eye view above, and they can see the fish in the water, and they swoop down on it, kind of thing. Like that kind of stuff of like that you would never see as a person. I mean, I guess you could if you were like in a helicopter or something and you flew over a lake or something, but then, you don't get to swoop down like a fucking falcon out of the sky.
Right. And actually embody the perspective opposed to being along for.
Right.
Yeah. I have another cat analogy. So there apparently, I was reading this article about certain breeds of Siamese cats, and they had all these cool pictures. I'll see if I can find them. And there was another breed of cats particularly, but the article was titled something like Siamese cats are a heat map of themselves. and their color patterns, like they're, hairless, but they'll have different shades of tan and brown, right?
Right.
And the shades actually match their temperature areas. Like they heat map onto themselves, because when they're, I don't know if this is all of these type of cats or whatever, but a lot of animals, like their enzymes related to color are affected by temperature. So when they're at the stages of development, when their fur or coat, whatever is developing, like the area around the head might become one color because it's warmer, or they're like crotch, whatever, back their tail, whatever, like those colors develop due to heat. And the idea of like being able to see, not like a heat map or like predator vision of another person, but
I changed my shit to predator vision. Go ahead.
But imagine being able to see like even if it was like a color thing, but like of probabilities, like not UV, but like if you could look at a person and you could see some visual representation of like all the likelihoods of their future movements.
That sounds like hell. I think it might be cool at first, but then like
might be a bit of a torture.
Yeah.
But
it's
it'd be
like actually
like
there's
a flow ghost.
There's a Fringe episode about that actually.
Yeah, I'm gonna like that show.
Yeah, that show's really good.
What about I like the idea of like viewing those different like layers of vision we can't see though. Like what if we had contact lenses? Like we talked about the military night vision drops, but what if we had like, Elon's working on the brain chip, right? Mm-hmm. Neuralink. What if we had contacts that worked with our Neuralink that could volumetrically capture our environment, which in theory means we could view things from anyone else's perspective that was volumetrically capturing or recording, or we could like replay it later in those environments. Like there's everyone.
That's really interesting as a concept.
And if everyone had them, we would be building like 3D constructions, like the Stuck in Amber thing.
Yeah.
Like we would have like 3D constructions of history.
And
right?
then with that, you could create a simulation.
Right. And be able to directly review, relive, change.
We're just heading down the direction for simulation theory.
Yeah. And that instantly made me think of Neil deGrasse Tyson saying, like, especially as we see technology advance, the probability of things being simulated, like, it's just evidence in every advancement. Still don't believe it.
Evidence of the possibility of.
Right. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
But imagine, like, living your life through one set of eyes and then living, like significant other. We did True Love recently, like your soulmate. Imagine living to your brain, but you have one eye feeding you your reality and one eye feeding someone else. And what that experience would be like if you can if that alone with time would trick you into like living two perspectives. Mm-hmm. Would you be lost from yourself? Could you be fully engaged in both? Like, how much of what we experience is the actual empathy of inhabiting the experience versus like the biological wiring to the experience?
So you're saying like if you're being watched all the time, like if your actions are constantly being...
No, like if you have a fucking contact on and through one, I see my world through one side of my brain, through the one contact, and on the other, I'm I'm living someone else's life, and you're going through two realms at the same time. Like, we're in the same world, but you're seeing things from multiple perspectives at the same time. Like an insect, but
but it's connected to a different being.
Yeah, or like you could connect to a whole fucking world of beings, but I was just going with the two eyes, you know what I mean?
That would be extremely complicated. I don't know.
Like, imagine your significant other, right?
Mm-hmm.
Half your perception is your life through your eyes and half is through hers. Like, imagine like fucking sex. You know, or like,
yeah.
Imagine like going on a date, or like just like normal shit, like living life and actually being able to see what the other person's world perspective looks like would change how you experience things so much. Like, if you were embedded,
make me just that much more self-conscious.
But if you were embedded in that perspective, do you think that alone would be enough to like significantly feel that? Do you think we would just like not be able to feel it, but be less in touch with ourselves? Like,
because I see that more of like, when people say like, oh, everyone's just looking at their phones all the time. And it's like, I can see that being a distraction from your own problems, that people would focus more on the perspectives of others.
Almost like the social media problems. We'd be too worried about how others perceive us to fully be able to experience their perception.
Yeah. That's
interesting. That goes back to the selfishness stuff.
And I, of course, I say, everyone's looking at their phones. I always hate bringing that up because it's like, well, of course, like we have a supercomputer in our pocket. Right. What the fuck what else am I supposed to do when I'm at the DMV? What else am I supposed to do when I have, when I'm chilling at home? Like, am I supposed to just sit in the dark? Like,
it's all about what we use it for.
Yeah.
Right. But the idea of like, everything being widely, captured volumetrically or otherwise, through future technology, contacts, whatever, like, it would even more change the future of like you were saying, surveillance, like being able to see things so accessibly from other perspectives, or to create, whether they're real time or not, simulations of the world. If everyone was involved in that, I mean, it would be simulations of history as we're living it. And it would make it so, like, the deep fake stuff, the like level of thought crime, or like being able to hide crime would be hard. I don't know. Yeah. So many weird like sim world problems.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. It's really weird. It's the sim world shit. That's when you can manipulate someone else to be doing a thing, or not even manipulate them, but to have that on view of someone else doing something,
and being able to change it and influence their perception. Like, even
this is deep shit, Steven.
It's all nonsense. Even the satellite heartbeat sensor stuff, like,
yeah.
We all know our phones are always recording and shit. But like, now there's algorithms they can use to like, as long as your phone could record even the room tone, and if you had a good enough algorithm, you could build a three-dimensional render of that space based on the acoustic echolocation of that sound, and of the recording.
Yeah.
Like, we're consciously or unconsciously like building these virtual spaces more and more now that affect our real worlds. And there's only so much real world. Like there's only so many square feet of the earth, but we can build imaginary spaces forever.
Hell, I've already got, it's not the same thing at all, but I think it's similar considering our level of technology right now. I have these smart bulbs that they're Wi-Fi based, so they're connected to my phone, and you can transmit data to them. So one of the options you have is to that they will flash with music. So it's connected to my phone's microphone. So I could technically connect them to my laptop or some other smart device or whatever. And it's connected to my phone's microphone, so that if I'm playing music through my phone, it can pick up that audio, or pick up, it's just, if I'm playing it through speakers, I guess it would work that way too. But they'll flash and pulse to that and change colors and shit to that sound.
See, that's so cool. There's so many problems with that too, but it's so cool.
I think it's a fun thing. And of course, you have the, only allow it to use my microphone while using the app or something like that. But
they all say that, even
Xbox, of course. And
you could turn off your microphone on your Xbox for YouTube. I recently did that. It makes the mistake of showing you it's still on, even when you turn it off.
Yeah.
If you go to YouTube on the Xbox, it still shows your voice waveforms, even when you've turned it off. And Xbox says it's off, but YouTube shows that it is still on.
I know. There is also, because you can turn it on while it's off. You can say, hey, Xbox, turn on or whatever, and it'll.
When do you think we finally start demanding these companies stop putting microphones in fucking everything?
Well, I already know that there's a lot of people that are pissed off about it now.
Yeah, especially with the Mac iNarc shit.
Yeah. I recently asked a friend of mine, you know them also, but I'm not going to put them on blast. Yeah. They're in the military, and one of the things they do is cybersecurity stuff.
Yeah.
And I asked them so what's the deal with me, thinking, not even searching for it or whatever. I might even say out loud, but I know there's definitely been things where I didn't even search for it or talk to anyone about it. I just thought oh, I need a new, fucking whatever it was, a toilet paper roll holder or something stupid. And, I started seeing ads for it, on sale for those. And I didn't say anything to anybody about that. I definitely got ones when my mom was in, my mom and I were talking back and forth, and she was saying for her new job, she might want to get a standing desk. And it was just that she was I might get a standing desk or something, instead of getting a sit down thing. And I was oh yeah, that's a cool option, and that was the conversation. Later on, I got ads for standing desks.
Oh, it's
how do I, what do I do to prevent that? And they said they're the most you can do is, use more private browsers. Chrome, you're definitely going to get fucked up on. Try to use more Firefox and shit like that.
Firefox isn't much better. DuckDuckGo is a little bit, but really, the thing is, if you have any app on your phone, you're already fucked. Yeah. Because YouTube's terrible for it. But part of these Facebook depositions, and Instagram as well, that social media doc, whatever that came out, a lot of what they're getting into is, even if they're not getting it from your mic, they're just running constant out. They have more data than anyone's ever had, and they have nearly infinite data of what other people that match your data points are doing, so they can fairly accurately predict what you're getting. It's fucked. And that's part of what these Facebook depositions are touching on. I think the biggest problem in regulating private interest from these things is the people we've elected as our to represent us. They don't fucking understand any of it. Like, who fucking understands those type of things except the people that work for those companies? Like, they can put together a committee to inquire about X, Y, and Z, but if they're not experts in it, the people who really know work for the company, not the government, you know, or whoever. It's a very weird problem.
Yeah.
What about pausing life?
I think that's a cool concept. I think that could be fun. I think, you know, even growing up, one of my favorite Rush songs is it's called Time Stand Still. And my dad played it for me when I was young, and he said, you know, it's one of the songs that he thinks about. It's one of the ones that made him think, you know, consider some of the jobs he's had in the past that he didn't have time to spend with us and stuff like that, you know, you know, it's the whole thing's about like times moving on, and, you know, like how, you know, we say it all the time where, like, you know, 6 months can go by and we can like catch up with each other and it feels like it was yesterday, but like, imagine if you could stop time. Like, sometimes you wish like everything's just moving forward constantly, and like, it just feels like you never get a break to really live in the moment and kind of like look around and enjoy it for what it is. And I feel like that kind of thing, being able to like, imagine you could do that with, you know, you have an important, like a wedding or something, and, you know, fuck having a photographer, you volumetrically capture your wedding, you know, and then you can have that for forever, and you can have that, you know, point of view of all of your guests, and you can see, like, you know, how it was, and you can live in that moment again that you were there.
It seems like a lot of these ideas kind of go back towards like permanently capturing the essence of things.
Right. Yeah.
Like the more depth to that capture, the better.
Right.
It's interesting. Yeah, it'd be so cool to be able to pause things, and like, I feel like so many people, myself included for sure, would have made so many different choices or like decisions in life if we could see ourselves making those choices, or like going through with those actions. Like, if you could see yourself doing something from an outside perspective, I feel like it would inform that action quite a bit.
Right.
It's weird though.
Yep. Life's fucking wild, man.
I think, is there anything big you want to hit? I was just going to say, I do think part of it, like a lot of these things, and just the idea of seeing things from other perspectives, is that just like with our memory conversations we've had, like, we're not supposed to remember everything. I think we're also not meant to see everything.
Right. Like, I think functionally we're not. Like, it's never, you know, like an example, it's never a good idea to scroll through your, you know, girlfriend's phone or so, you know, your crush's phone or whatever. You know, only heartbreak lies that way.
Right.
But from an evolutionary standpoint, I'm all for the ability to, you know, to add that ability to a resume. I think it'd be a fun thing of like what we could do if we went down that avenue. Right. Just even like the wild things you can do with your camera on your phone. It's so impressive. Like the translation abilities, like you can, you know, scan your phone over text in a different language and it can pick it up and translate it for you. Like, that's wild shit.
Yeah. And with that though, just if we had perfectly preserved little crystals of every memory of our life from every angle, like as beautiful,
maybe not every memory, but
exactly that would be.
I've already got the ones in my head that, you know, you lay awake as you're trying to go to bed and you think about, remember that time you said that thing that was really embarrassing?
Exactly.
Like, or you did that thing and it was super embarrassing. Remember that?
I know.
I don't need those.
I've spent so much time trying to forget things. Like, if we had every memory captured, like, I don't think we're meant to see all that. We're not meant to remember everything. We're not meant to see everything.
Right.
Some things are meant to fade away, or else things would be less special too.
Yeah. Life's wild. This episode was deep. It was a lot deeper than I was expecting it to get.
I was kind of hoping. I was hoping the abstract half we could just get weird.
Yeah, it went good.
Fun.
You got anything else?
Nope. But I see this episode ending right about now. We'll be okay with the file size. It'll just
as long as Audacity kept going. I heard my computer cranking for a minute.
Oh boy, we'll find out then.
Yeah. So thanks again for listening, everybody. Thank you to Approaching Human for the use of his music. You can find his work on SoundCloud at Approaching-Human.
Thanks, John.
Make sure to check out the show page at Trashcats Trashcast on Instagram for news and arts from the show. You can also check out Facebook for the memes. Or hit up that Reddit page. Find us wherever.
If you're bored, you can check out my trashy art on Instagram at SKYZICX. Shouts out to Borellis, the digital artist. And
shouts out to Jens Honning for stealing money from the art museum. Good call.
Yeah, we'll share some links on that on the pages. And tune in next week for an episode on spooky things. We'll leave it there.
Yeah.
Spooky.
That's going to be all for us today. Stay classy, eat trashy.
Go fast, eat trash.